Rock music has always been loud. It's always been hard. It's always been clear in how it presented itself. Through its guitar shredding and drum playing, you can hear the themes of individuality, rebellion, and being true to yourself no matter what the hell gets in your way. Of course, it did deal with the sad parts of life, such as social issues hindering others, the loss of love, and of course, the guilty feelings we all feel in life. Suddenly, a man from South Africa, this one, not that loser, thinks to himself, what if I got these themes to fight? And by incorporating themes of rock, science, anime, dolphins, and apocalyptic vibes, created one of the coolest, hard rock, and most metal fighting games to ever embrace the world. That man is Daisuke Ishiwatari, and that game is Guilty Gear.
Body's bullshit blazing, still my heart is blazing. If the word kill me, I don't need a new word under you. Soon you will know, we already know the smell of the game.
If you've been around social media or fandom spaces within the past around 40 to 50 months, then you know the series I am talking about. What was once an obscure fighting game cherished by only a few in the US or hardcore FGC community became a worldwide phenomenon with the release of its newest installment, GGxRd, with the game becoming the first in the franchise to surpass 1 million copies and becoming a global success. And to be honest, it is not only well deserved, it's well overdue. Why is that? Well, it's heaven or hell. Now let's flare and get a smell of the game, and celebrate the fighting game that keeps on rocking. This video is my love letter to Guilty Gear, the fighting game that keeps on rocking and rocked my heart. My first experience with Guilty Gear was actually, well, last year, when Strive came out. Well, I went over to my friend's house to play the new PS5 he got, but for some reason, I can't get one. Okay. And all of a sudden, I see GGxRd had finished downloading on his game, and we just decided to play it. Why not? After playing a few rounds with Axel, listening to the music, and watching that beautiful intro cutscene, I was in love. It was then I rushed to the GameStop, which was conveniently next to his house, and reserved my copy for the PS4, and got it after the next shipment came in July. And yet I can't get a PS5. And that summer, I fell in love with not only Strive, but Guilty Gear as a whole. I bought the games, the merch, the plushies, the physical copy of X since Steam doesn't want to put it up, I don't know why, to even buying out the Anime NYC booth. If you go to Arc System Works Twitter video, you can see me. I'm not going to say who, but I'm there. I was obsessed. And to explain how and what I fell in love with, I'm going to need you to take you back to the past. Now, I'm going to need all of you to do me a favor. Close your eyes. It is 1998, and you're at a local video game store, maybe Babbage's. You decided to fancy yourself a fighting game for your brand new PS1, since no one was playing Saturn, and you check out your options. Street Fighter 3? Meh, I heard this one was bad. Let's give it one more year. Tekken 3 seems cool, but you want a 2D one, not a 3D. Sorry, Tekken. You can't play Mortal Kombat. Imagine the shock your poor mother will feel if she saw all those intense and violent scenes. You can't play Dead or Alive. Imagine the shock your poor mother will feel with all those skimpy and really lewd outfits. I mean, your dad will just play it all the time and you won't get to, so what's the point? Ooh, you can try King of Fighters. Oh wait, the Latino kids took all the copies of King of Fighters. So before you give up and decide to pre-order Darkstalkers 3, you come across a game with the sticker fighting game on it. Neat. But alongside it, you see this brash and rough cover with a visual that looks less like a fighting game you usually see, and two men with swords fighting in the pits of hell with dark black and orange graphics, with lightning and fire and stares that look more intense than a usual Hadouken man. Is this a fighting game? Right off the bat, Guilty Gear didn't struggle to find its identity in the pool of fighting games. It knew what it wanted to be, and it wanted to make sure that the series was loud and clear on what it is, doing away with the martial arts or kung fu aesthetics that were popularized by Street Fighter, and going for a more gritty, dark, and hardcore look. Instead of characters and martial art gis and more lax fighting looks, we get characters that look, act, and move completely out of place, and dress like they're all going to different places, and not to a tournament to revive a command gear to destroy humanity. You line up Street Fighter 2 or King of Fighters rosters, and the majority look like fighters ready to compete in a tournament to be the #1 fighter of the world. Heck, even Darkstalkers' character designs are consistent with each other, all fitting into the Halloween horror monster motive the story has. But when you line up Guilty Gear's characters, that consistency is dropped. You get a ninja, a pirate with a giant anchor, a girl who wields her hair, a serial killer bald doctor with a big scalpel, some old man with a big knife, and a knight. These characters are drastically different in design and feel out of place, but work so well, and this is heavily done thanks to the gameplay and style, making sure you, the player, know you aren't playing any other fighting games. Other fighting games at the time used Street Fighter variety button names, and by that I mean they used names like Light Punch, Heavy Punch, Light Kick, Heavy Kick, etc. Guilty Gear instead took liberties with the button names, instead just going with Punch, Kick, Slash, Heavy Slash, and Dust, which got an official name in X, giving them a unique flair, and when learning controls, makes them easier to remember and map out thanks to the different names that aren't light plus blank or heavy slash blank. Heck, even saying slash just sounds so much cooler and more hype than just Light Punch. Even the taunt and respect buttons are also vibrant add-ons, and while some fighting games had it, Guilty Gear used it to add more characters to the already unique roster, and even incorporated respect into certain movesets, something you really don't see a lot. Add on to the fact of the game's not so subtle way of showing blood, but not too much that it just becomes Mortal Kombat. The announcer going "let's rock" instead of fight or any other cliche trope, the stages raining from satanic temples to whole armories, Guilty Gear is not your usual fighting game. Instead, it used the little elements of fighting games like button names, battle effects, and at the time at least, music, to solidify itself as something special, something to not look back on, something that makes you want to rock on, and according to President Bill Clinton, something that makes you want to
kill your friends guilt-free.
After Missing Link and onwards, Guilty Gear continued to improve and define its unique style of fighting, adding new characters with even more bizarre designs and lore attached to them, switching from beautiful 2D sprites to now 3D anime-esque models that fool you into thinking we're seeing 2D models. Watch this vid for more info, and of course, building up the gameplay to make it more complex, stylish, and well, rock hard fun. Incorporating new mechanics that can make fighting much more smoother and more intense as you improve your skills. This is shown in the presentation of action in Guilty Gear. Most fighting games of the time worked on a your turn, my turn basis, so to speak. It's in the gameplay, it's mostly about defending and attacking, while on neutral, pretty much taking your time. While most fighting games rely on combos being neutral and slow so opponents can calculate what to do next, Guilty Gear has no breaks. It is fast-paced, quick, and keeps you on your toes, and also in awe on how beautiful the movements are. This is also thanks to the new mechanics introduced, the burst and the Roman cancel, allowing you to quickly press a button to continue a combo or escape enemy combos. I love how these buttons can let you continue the pressure escape or even give you more tension for overdrive moves. It might be cheap, but it's so much more fun and adds to the quick intensity this game gives you, especially with how you can execute varieties of Roman cancels depending on your situation, so your toolbox is never really limited, even in the toughest of spots. All of this comes together to form a beautiful array of moves and combo that looks less like a fighting games and more like an array of blades, guns, and sea life. Let's take for example this Testament combo from Accent Core Plus R, credit to the person in the description, and look at the vast movements, jumps, items, all of that practically in just one combo. It's not just one weapon either, as you see trees and spiderwebs and other ghoulish things pop up from the screen and doing different things to keep the juggle going. If you want a second example that's more calmer, check out this Leo Whitefang combo from Strive. Seeing the bright rays of light flash while Leo swings his twin blades at a quick pace, all of this to add more fire to the intense rock and roll gameplay, making the combat feel less like a fighting game and more like an action-packed, fast-paced battle shonen manga, akin to that of One Piece, Bleach, and for new examples, Jujutsu Kaisen. With that, the sound effects of slashing, and the really fun and cheery announcer I can't get enough of, and of course, the music. If you talk to almost any Guilty Gear fan, they will talk about the music, and for good reason. Whether it is watching the opening cutscene right before starting the game, or the character select screen getting you hyped for your favorite character, Guilty Gear's music gets you hooked off the bat. Instead of relying on usual fighting game arcade music of the time, Guilty Gear opted for rock soundtracks that gets the player hyped and keeps the excitement strong, even under the compressed PS1 music graphics. During the matches, you will have the chance to hear music composed by Daisuke himself, and like I mentioned before, it's full of rock. Guilty Gear wants you to know it's all about rocking hard, or in Strive's case,
Rock and roll, rock hard.
songs that play heavily, rely on rock themes to keep you pumped and your hype strong while the match goes on. Either if you're winning or losing, you won't drop the ball. It can almost at times make you feel like you're in a concert or a mosh pit, except it's filled with floor mats, sea life, pool balls, whatever this thing is, etc. Guilty Gear's music wants to keep your blood flowing as the match goes. Not to calm you, but to let you know this is the fight of your life. Put a bookmark on this music topic later. We're gonna circulate back to that. Overall, as a fighting game, Guilty Gear is special because it chose to rebel from the norm. It chose to find its own way, figure out what worked and what they can improve on, and sing to its own beat and tune. It didn't need a martial arts tournament. It didn't need its own grounded and neutral fighting style almost every other fighting game had at the time. Guilty Gear was a game that wanted the players to not only fight, but a game that wanted players to rock and roll, and it did not care who the hell was watching or what others thought. As a fighting game, it is important to talk about the gameplay and why it sticks out. However, to only talk about Guilty Gear's gameplay would be a major injustice to the expansive and well-made lore made under Daisuke's vision. Guilty Gear's lore as not only a fighting game, but as a franchise, is just amazing to learn about. Each part ranges from talking about real-life topics such as the Holy Roman Empire, Y2K, or Yeek, to then incorporating new and fictional events that just seem so hype, like the Crusades in the 22nd century, and even the creation of Gears. For an explanation, Gears are beings that are embedded with magical powers that can advance life, created by Frederick Balsara, Arya, and someone named That Man. As Arya dies, Frederick and That Man try to save her with gear cells, which ended up backfiring and started a crusades that led to war, leading to this old guy that's dead, Japan completely wiped out, this guy walking around with fans, this ninja weeaboo, and a construction worker non-binary, and oh man, I can give a comprehensive lore, but Wolfie Versus gives an already elaborate and awesome video on the lore, and you just have to watch him, he's cool. Instead, I'll just focus on the parts that make Guilty Gear's lore stand out, and make it one not worth ignoring, even as a casual fighting game player. Before we continue, let's shout out Happy Chaos because—
Oh, that's a nice video you got here. Can I be the protagonist in this video? I got a gun, and also won Evo this year. I would assume it's only right if I was given my moment to shine. It's been long overdue.
No, sorry, I just scripted this, and you just can't hijack my video.
Oh, you're a buzzkill. I'll tell you what, here's a gun.
The first piece of lore I want to highlight is the bread and butter of the roster, the main two that stand out and kick butt, Soul Badguy and Kai Kisuke. Soul Badguy, or Frederick Balsara, is the namesake of the franchise. He is the Guilty Gear. He is the man who helped start everything alongside That Man, including losing his lover, fiancée, Arya, and turning her into a monster and abandoning the Crusades. Soul is not your usual fighting game protagonist good boy hero. Throughout the story, Soul is rude, isolated, only cares about himself, and upset when he has to give more than he should. And who can blame him? He is the man responsible for this. He is the man responsible for the Gears and the world they live in, and also responsible for the death of the woman he loved the most. And since then, he can never prove himself good no matter. So what's the point trying to prove yourself to others if you can't do it to yourself? I love Soul, and he's a great Daisuke self-insert because he's awesome, and his music video is awesome, and also, he's just hot. Take notes, High Guardian Spice. That is how you do a self-insert. Not this, that. Speaking of High Guardian Spice, how the hell does a 20-plus-year-old fighting game franchise get trans representation right over an actual trans person writing this? How do you mess up that bad? Whatever. Soul's rival Kai is another noteworthy character that shouldn't be overlooked. A noble knight who once was close with Soul during the Holy Order and had a strong sense of justice. Now rivals who fight Gears and is bitter about Soul during the Holy Order, vowing to hunt him down. Until he married a Gear himself, Dizzy, and opened his worldview and had a kid named Sin, putting aside the past to become a king of Illyria and live with his family peacefully. They play off each other so well, and I love that so much about their dynamic. Seeing them go from rivals bitter about the Crusades to teaming up and taking down Ino, the main boss in Strive, is such a great dynamic. Heck, even seeing them get love interests side to side, them raising a family such as Soul adopting Sin as his grandson, and Kai realizing that he might have Soul as a father-in-law, is just so wholesome. Also, sugar water is really good, try it. I want to get back to Sol and Kai later because I want to save a part of their characters for later. To continue, one of my favorite parts of lore trivia, aside from Sol and Kai and the other main characters, is the concept of the Assassin's Guild and the characters involved. Formed by a Nightwalker vampire slayer, it was meant to punish wrongdoers and bring justice via dandyism, and included Zato being the leader, dying by his shadow bestie Eddie. Melia being a certified girl boss who rebels against Sato's abuse and decides to take him down in the first few games, and a gay pool player named Venom, and throughout the series they go from all four teaming up to now Venom opening up a bakery, and wow, it's so cool and I love it, and the dynamics the guild members have with each other, especially Zato and Melia's struggles after years of abuse and pain from Sato, is really well done. Another aspect of Guilty Gear lore that I love is the alternate timelines and Ino and Accent Core, as well as Ino in general. For context, the villain of XX/Accent Core, Ino, is a cruel, wicked, and evil human bound to an inanimate object, her guitar. Because she has no ideas of her origins, she is obsessed with tomorrow, and constantly changes and manipulates the timeline to find a better future, and does not care who she hurts, except one person. In XX and Accent Core, we see how she works with that man. However, she only works to make her own tomorrow, and with that we not only see different outcomes of the future, but also more into the characters depending on how you play. I just think it's really cool how they can be canon, but not canon, thanks to Ino. With most fighting game arcade modes, they're linear and usually just involve you to beat characters and get an ending, which is just crowning you the champion or something. Guilty Gear X2 switched it up and instead made alternate endings, or just different routes, depending on how you play, so we can not only get more incentive to play again and make better choices or play better, but to learn about the characters and their interactions more. One of my personal favorites of these arcade mode endings has to be Anji's in X2. A wandering and adventurous man comes face to face with that man and just asks him the ultimate question. Why? Why is this happening? Only for that man to say divine punishment. Despite being such a small interaction, it shows so much of Anji and also that man, and how lifeless that man is compared to the adventurous and curious man that is Anji Mito. Guilty Gear as a fighting game franchise really knows how to appreciate and care for their characters and lore, each and every one. Both big and small, get their time to shine and show how much more they are than just a typical fighting game archetype. Back to Ino. Ino in XX was a great addition to the timeline. Main reason why? In my opinion, it's because she is the girlfriend, technically, of my main and my favorite character in Guilty Gear, Mr. Axel Lowe, or Billy Kane for my King of Fighters fans. Axel is unlike any other character in the series because he is a British man who time-slipped and lost his girlfriend going 200 years into the future. It turns out that Axel and Ino are boyfriend and girlfriend, except from alternate timelines. That's why she's nice to him. The subconscious desire to be with Will, was it. Despite Megami, Axel's girlfriend, being such a minuscule detail in terms of learning the character, the fact that Daisuke went out of the way to write this and give him a dynamic with Ino was just so nice to see. It adds more life to the characters and makes me love playing Axel more. Knowing the same guy I'm playing is struggling to adjust to a world, but still smiles head on and keeps his head up, and also still not giving up his hopes and dreams to find his girlfriend, is such a heartwarming story. And seeing the end of Strive conclude with him reunite with her with tears in his eyes just makes me tear up. Axel Lowe is indeed the best character, and I love him so much. The story of a man who goes through his experience relaxed but determined to reunite with someone he loves is just awesome, and it just plays well into Guilty Gear's motif. And also, I just love Axel so much, my god. If you noticed when I said out of the box, it's because, well, he is. Don't take my word for it, take his theme song. That's the power of the music in Guilty Gear. Let's go back to that bookmark, and let's talk about how they play a key part in telling the lore. Let's be honest here, as much as I love the lore and I can gush about it for hours and hours and hours, not every player is going to watch the story or go through GG World or watch Woolie's vids. They'll just go and play the game and get attached to whichever character fits their playstyle, be it the burger-munching Ramlethal, the wacky Dr. Bag Faust, doesn't he look familiar, the Weeaboo Ninja Chip, or perhaps just stick to the funny Totsugeki girl making waves on memes, May. Hey, May Mains. But the lore can't outrun them there, as they are greeted to the music with the lyrics that tell you the story of their characters condensed into song form. The lyrics that tell you what type of character they are, who they are, their goals, or just their personality. To list a few, Nagoriyuki's Crawl sings about his desire to escape from the control of Happy Chaos and find his own path, even if it means suffering at his most. Mei's Disaster of Passion, singing about her messy crush on her Captain Johnny, and how although it will never be returned, she'll still be loyal to him and the Jellyfish Pirates. To even the newest addition, the newest added character of this recording, Bridget, and her theme, The Town Inside Me, singing about how no matter what changes or what happens, she knows it's up to her to form her own path in life, and don't let anyone else tell Bridget otherwise. Each theme is such a nice treat to listen to, but I can't list or analyze them all. But I decided to select 2 songs that completely define and master the biggest theme and the overarching motif of Guilty Gear, guilt. I mean, it's in the name, so it's obvious. Before we continue on through this video, I want to define, well, what do I mean by guilt? Guilt, as its definition states on the wonderful world of Merriam, guilt can either be the fact of being committed a specified or implied offense or crime, or feelings of deserving blame, especially for the imagined offense or from a sense of inadequacy. Guilty Gear, as a game, takes these assets and explores them through the characters both big and small, whether it's the characters feeling guilty and growing to overcome and learn from their mistakes, or try to overcome the guilt they've been burdened with throughout the war, or the fate they inherit. Their guilt is the character's catalyst to forge their own path and break through the chains holding them down to find their own way. If it wasn't obvious by the name, guilt is a big element of the Guilty Gear franchise, and for most characters, a big motivation. The music does not drop this theme, and makes sure to incorporate this into the music, and this is especially visible in the vocal tracks of XRD and Strive. Some examples include Hellfire from Strive, showing Leo's survivor guilt, and despite it strives to stay alive even if the guilt kills him and keeps fighting on, or Baiken's Mirror of the World, showing Baiken's guilt of dedicating her life towards vengeance and anger. However, the character theme that captures the theme of guilt perfectly is Zato 1's Let Me Carve Your Way. Let's reroute back to Zato to go more into his lore. Zato 1 was a part of the Assassin's Guild, and he sealed the beast Eddie, one of the forbidden spells within him, in exchange for his eyesight. From there on, he struggled, not only to keep the Assassin's Guild going, not only to control Eddie, but to keep a love with the woman he loves, Melia Rage. As he grows to the point he loses Melia, Eddie starts to slowly consume Sato, until an accent core where he is killed and Eddie now hosts his body, and Eddie has full control. In XRD, Sato is revived, but without emotions, with Eddie being nicer. And throughout XRD, it's Sato's trying to help and trying to protect Melia with whatever he can. He can never wash away his sins. He will always be guilty of what he has done, how he killed himself, and how he drove away Melia, the girl he loved so much, and Let Me Carve Your Way captures that. Lyrics like the last part are so impactful. The whole song we hear, Vanish into Dark, and talks of abyss of desire, abyss of darkness, etc., alluding to Eddie consuming him and shrouding him in misery and anguish. Only for the last minute, we'll hear about this sadness, sweet memories, his sweetheart, and his desires to give the tools to live in the past. This story tells us that despite the pain and agony Zato went through, despite all the guilt and pain, he still loves Melia, and how he wants to try to live the happy future with her he threw away. The lyrics, "It's all gone down so deep, I can't see anymore," is not only a reference to how he sacrificed his eyesight for Eddie to become his shadow, but also how he lost the light in his life that helped him see Melia. He's done so much wrong. He will never overcome his guilt, or they will never be redeemed. The only thing he can say is, "Let me carve your way." Not "let me carve your way" for him and Eddie, but "let me carve your way, Melia." Let me carve your way. Another way to show he loves Melia and cares for her, and although he can never overcome the guilt of the way he treated her, he can try his best with whatever emotion he has left. And this song, although I'm not a Zato main, made me appreciate his character and his role in the story so much more, especially in XRD and Strive. I could end the video here and just say, play it for more, but it would be a criminal move to not talk about my favorite Guilty Gear song of all time, and that is XRD's Freesia. Freesias are flowers that, like Daisuke, originated in South Africa. Freesias are popular in showing the ultimate trust, and commonly used in wedding flowers to show the purity of the bride and the trust between the couple. Freesia is my favorite song because it isn't made for any specific character in mind, unlike Let Me Carve Your Way, but it can be interpreted to be about guilt that comes with love, more specifically with the main protagonist's soul and his love for Jacko Valentine, a reincarnation / manifestation of Aria's memories. When you interpret it with Soul in mind, it's Soul singing about the love he has for Arya, now as Jack-O. He can fight his way, he can beat that man, he can regain his humanity, and he can still live a good life. But he is guilty. He's guilty in helping the woman he loved become the monster that destroyed millions. He's guilty in killing her gear form and being the prototype for the gears. No matter what he does, he will always be guilty, and he cannot prove himself to Jack-O. And that just hits hard, especially in Strive. Soul and Jack-O do end up being together, and Jack-O finds that she doesn't have to be Arya, she can be herself, and I'm glad to see each other love themselves for so much. They're just a cute couple. Freesia is not just limited to Soul, as it can also be used to reflect on Kai and Dizzy's relationship. The whole world was kind to Kai. He was a beloved knight, a strong soldier, and now a king. But not to Dizzy, who was discriminated, scrutinized, and demonized for being a gear, and just treated badly until Kai got her. And now that he has Sin, he has a family, and he wants to prove to not only be a valuable king, but to be someone in Dizzy's life that will look past her guilt of being a gear, and cherish her for the rest of their lives. Both are stories that show, despite how much guilt is in their heart, they still have love and care for their wives. Why do I say Freesia for last? Well, it's because I also feel that aside from representing the main protagonists, Freesia is representative of the entire Guilty Gear franchise. Through guilt, there is beauty. In Guilty Gear, every character is guilty of something, whether it's guilt for their crimes, guilt for their failed relationships with people they cherish, or guilt by associations. But each character learns that, well, it doesn't define them. Their mistakes, their choices, their thoughts, their virtues, it's not them. They are themselves. It doesn't matter how others define you or what people want from you. Instead, push them away, strike back, get them out of your way, and listen to your heart and to people that love you. If there's one thing I want people to take away from Guilty Gear, one valuable lesson that I think everyone should learn, and hopefully something you can walk away from this video thinking, is that there's nothing more rock and roll than being yourself and finding your one way. Guilty Gear is something really special to me, and it's only been in my life for such a short time, and I'm glad I was able to make this video after so long. I've had drafts of this being for a year. I could talk more about it, but I want you to play it as well. I really think it's a great game, and Strive went down in price, so definitely go for it. And also, I just love it a lot. And especially when I play it with some of my coolest friends, especially the friend that helped me motivate to make this video, and the friend I've been gushing over Guilty Gear with since the end of last year, and that is my good Absol friend, Kata. Kata, you're awesome, and I love you so much, man. Here's Happy Chaos, because he wants to say something to you. Yeah, he's back.
Kata, Kamino O considers you an amazing friend, and he is so happy you got to play fighting games with him and enjoy the lore of Guilty Gear as much as he does. You're awesome, and thank you for fueling his love for this game. This video is for you, and I hope you enjoy it, you Dorito-munching Absol. You're an amazing protagonist.
I hope you're doing good, Kata, and if you're watching this, I just want to let you know that I got your back, and that you gotta find your one way, and I will too. But remember to always rock and roll. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've been wanting to make a Guilty Gear video since last year, but I never found the time due to me starting college and also making my other videos. Thank you so much. If you're a Guilty Gear fan, definitely hop into my Discord server. I love playing with other people, and it's just so much fun, and I'm always down. I might start streaming on here to, like, you know, hang out with people in real time and try to stream, and also just show myself. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow my Twitter, follow my Instagram, follow my TikTok if you're into more queer stuff, and also just make sure to subscribe and like and tell me about Guilty Gear. And for my next video, well, I don't know, I'm planning to do another queer video like I did with my trans manga video, my boyfriend's webtoon video, so if you're interested in that, make sure to check it out because I have it scripted and I'm ready to record, so just let me know.